Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So in the previous video, I walked you through the process of creating Amazon Redshift serverless data warehouse. And in today's video, I will be showing you the process of loading data from Amazon S3 to that data warehouse that we created. But before we get started, if you are new to this channel or if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so that the next time I make a similar video, you will be notified automatically. Okay, so let's get started. So here I'm going to navigate to my AWS console. So I'm going to go to console and get logged in. So here it remembers my last session, but for you, you may have to log in. So please go ahead and do that. And once you're here in the home page here, I'm going to navigate to Redshift. It's in some of the services that I've recently used. So you'll see here recently visited. So for me, I've been using Redshift, so it lists it here. But for you, if it's not there, go ahead and look in services, or you can type up here Redshift. Okay. If you look here Redshift, it is in analytics section, or it will pop up here. And then go ahead and click it, open it. I'll open it in a new tab. Okay. And it will bring you to the homepage of Redshift data warehouse. So remember in the previous video that I walked you through, we created this database or a namespace called demo tutorial. And this is where our tables live. So let's navigate to this place and see where we left last time. So I'll click that. And if you see up here, if you see up here, you will see this query data, and this will lead you to it will give you the query editor, where you can see the list of your tables and start running queries. Okay, so like I mentioned last time, this is a great improvement because previously I don't think this option was there. If you needed to query your data in Redshift, you had to install a client and uh, and run queries inside the client. So I find this option very useful because now you don't have to install other things. I mean, you can still install them, and I will walk you through a process of doing that. But this is quite efficient. You can run your queries inside the browser itself. Okay, so once you're here, just click this query data, and it will bring you to your schema where your tables are living. Okay, so last time I do have currently two namespaces. This is a previous one I created, but the one we went through last time is this one for demo tutorials. Okay, so let me close this one here. So if you expand this one here, you will see that we have this schema called dev. So keep expanding it. And inside here, we have a public. So this is our database, and this is a schema. So this is a database, and inside the database, we have schemas. So I've not created a schema currently. And the only, by default, we get the public schema. So let me see. It looks like I have a table here that I've created before. So I have a table here called Boston. I think this was for Boston Marathon winner. So anyway, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to drop this from here. And so you have to refresh it every time if you delete something here so that it can show up. Okay. So anyway, this is where we left last time. We had created our database, connected to it, and here now we don't have any table. Okay, we don't have any table right now. So in today's video now, I will be showing you the process of creating tables in here and loading data from S3. Okay, so let's get to that. Before we do that, there is one thing last time that we had a clash. If you remember, I had two roles that I created that were basically the same, and these were the ones. And when I was creating, I created one, and I could not remember which one it was. I believe I went to rewatch that video, and I think it was the first one here that was created. This one was already there, so I want to clean this one up. Okay, I'm going to remove one of these so that it's easier for me to use and even for you to follow. Okay, so I'm going to, I believe here, if I click this role, it will bring me to the IAM page, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, no, that's not the one I wanted to do. I want to delete one of the roles. So let's see how we can do that, because I only want one role to remain here. So how do we do that? Let's see securities. Oh, it's here. I think it's here. So click manage IAM roles. That's what we need to do. Okay. So here, remember last time when we were creating our roles, I go there and then I started creating another role. So, but there was already one there. This one default here. So it created another role which does basically the same thing. And again, what this IAM role does is when you're loading data to Redshift from S3, it will require you to 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 use a IAM role. Basically, it will ask you which IAM role do you want to do. So this is like permissions in Amazon services. So in almost all the Amazon services, for them to communicate with each other, you will either need to use these IAM roles or sometimes firewalls so that they can communicate with each other. So for Redshift to communicate with um, Amazon S3, you do need a role. And this is the role that we created. These are the roles we created. So I want to remove one of these so that we remain with one. That later when we load our data, we will specify this role. Okay. So this is a critical role also, because without any of this, you'll not be able to load your data from S3 to Redshift. Okay. So because I mentioned that, or when I saw it, I think it was this one, but basically they are the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to delete the one I created. Okay. You could use either one, but I will remove the first one that I created. So I'll do that. I'll select that and click remove because I don't need it. Okay. So the second one is basically going to be the same thing. Okay, so I only now have one role here. Okay, I'm going to click Save Changes. Right, cool. So now I have my role set up, and the next step that we have to do is go ahead and create our table. But again, there is one more step before we do this. Where is our data? Okay, so what we will need to do right now is go ahead and create a bucket in S3 and put a file and load a file to it, so that and that file now is the one that we will use to create our table here in Redshift. Okay, so I'm going to navigate here and go to S3. All right, so here I am in S3 and I do have a number of other buckets. So I'm going to create a bucket right now, and I'm going to name this bucket demo tutorial. I'll probably put my name because that one, I'm almost sure somebody has used it. Like, I'm almost certain. So if you do that and try creating it. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh well. I was wrong. I thought somebody had taken it. That is strange. Because the idea is all of these names have to be unique, and I was almost certain that somebody somewhere must have taken this, but we are lucky it's not taken, so we'll go ahead and use that. Very cool. So this is Adam that we just created, demo tutorial. There's nothing in there, so we need to upload a file. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to choose one file from my local directory. So I do have a list of flat files that I was playing with. I'm going to use this one for Boston Marathon winners. So these are basically Boston Marathon winners, I believe, from when Boston Marathon started, but this is for like male or men marathon winners. I think they keep them separately. So I went to some website and downloaded them. Um, yeah, but you can use any file that you have. So for me, I'm just using this marathon winner. So I'm going to upload this file to S3. Okay, so our file has been uploaded. Okay, it's in here. So again, if you go to your pockets here and in demo tutorial, you will see this file here. So again, let's open this file and see what's in there. So I'm going to download it here. I could have opened it from my local cluster, but anyway, I can show you this way also. So here you will see this file has a number of um, columns. So you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. and we have about 124 records. I'm saying 124 because the first one here is the header. So if you see in the Excel file, it will show you 125, but the first one is our column field, so it's -1, gives you 124. Okay, so what we need to do now is we have our data set up in S3. So the next step then is we switch over to Redshift and load this data. Okay, so let's go over to Redshift. This is our Redshift namespace. So again, remember we don't have anything here right now. So what we want to do now is to load that data. So there are several ways of doing this, or there are a few ways of doing this. The one that I'm going to show you today is where you create a table first in Redshift and then load the data to it. There is another way that you can directly create the table on the fly and point it to a S3 bucket. I'll probably, make a video of that one later. But for today, I'm going to create a table, let the table exist in Redshift. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to customize the fields, the field names that I put here. Okay, so I'm going to open a new editor here, and I do have, so that I prepare this query so that you don't have to watch me type it down. So I'm going to bring that query up. So I had it here. I created it before, so I'm going to paste it here. So basically, it is just a basic DDL to create a table. So if you have worked with SQL, this should be very familiar with you. Okay, so this is just a basic way of creating a table in SQL. And Redshift uses ANSI SQL, so just a standard SQL. There are some differences here and there, but the idea is pretty much the same. Okay, so this is I'm inside the demo tutorial, and I'm basically specifying where my table should be created. So it should be created in dev, which is our database, and the schema is public, and the name of the table that will be created is Boston Marathon winner. So I'm specifying the name here. And this is basically the list of the columns that we have in our file. So I have, like here, I have put them in lowercase, all of them, and specified the data types. If you look at the data types, the way I've specified here, I have not put the length. This is not the best practice because it will consume more space. Yeah, you do have, the best practice is you have to specify like what is the length that you want to use here. So for me, I'm just, for demo purposes, I'm going to leave it here. But for production use and for efficiency, when you're using it for production, just it's the best practice to specify the length, especially for these variable characters. So I'm going to leave it this way. This way, you will see when we create this table, these data types, it will take the maximum length it can. So let's go ahead and do that. Even decimal also, you do need to specify the precision. And the reason why I've done this is like for year, if you look at my data, right now, like year is just like a number. I could have made that as an integer. But ideally, if we had the whole like year, day, whenever this happened, and the times and everything, the year will probably be a date or a timestamp or whichever. So, but this one we just have a year, just a year, like 1980. You can see 1900, 1902, things like that. So I'm just going to put that as a varchar, but you can name it as an integer. That's also acceptable in this case. Okay, so I do have these 5 columns here. And if you look at here, in this file, we have here distance and in comma or in brackets, miles. The same thing with distance. So in my table, I have renamed that. Okay, so you'll see it underscore in miles, underscore in kilometers. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this table. So I'm going to select it, or you don't even need to select it. I'm just going to click create. If you have like if I had another query down here, if you just want to run one, you just highlight it and click it, and it will run only that highlighted query that you want to run. Okay, so our table has been created, and let's now refresh our database and schema and see if that table is available. Okay, so that you go to tables, expand that, and here is our table. Okay, so this is our table. It's been created. Boston Marathon winners. Okay, very cool. So you can click it, and you will see here the list of columns or field names that we specified here, together with the data types. So yeah, these are the columns. They are coming out as expected. And like I mentioned, the data types, because I did not specify the length here, it's taking the maximum. I believe it's the maximum 256. And for decimal, apparently decimal in Redshift is interpreted as numeric. So it is a numeric data type, which is cool. It's under the hood. It knows that, okay, anything decimal, I'm going to um, turn it into numeric. So anyway, that's just a little knowledge there. All right, so we have our table up. So what is next now? The next thing we do is to load that data from S3 and to this table. So right now, if you query this table, it's empty. This table is empty as it's currently. So if you click here and select run this, it's not going to give us anything. Okay, so there's no rows to show. So let's go ahead and load the data from S3 to this table and start querying and do our analysis and start making money. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So to do that from here in Redshift itself, if you look up here, we have two tabs here. There's one of creating. This is for creating, a database schema table or or a function. So you can do all of that. So imagining we didn't want to specify this query here, we could have done the same operation through the UI. So now we have our table ready because we used the query. And now what we want to do is go ahead and load this table. So I'm going to click this button here for loading data. And here you have two options, loading from S3 or from local files. So for us, we have our file already staged in S3. So we will browse to that bucket and choose that file. So let's go ahead here, browse it. So here it's the list of the buckets that we have available for us. So the one we put our file is this one, demo tutorial. So we are going to choose that, and here is our file that we just uploaded a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead and choose that file. All right, so there are some other few things here, like the 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 the, the location where your S3 or where you're based out of. S3 generally is a global service, but for some reason you can choose. So for me, I'm in US East, so I'm going to use this US East location or so on. And our file is CSV. The file options here, we have some file options. I'm going to leave this one as default, but it is the delimiter there is comma. So if you have tab delimiter, for example, in your data, you can change it here. So I'm going to leave mine as comma. It's also showing up here. So I like that. And this is also important step because we are not auto detecting our file. We manually created our table, so we no longer need that first row because this is the first row that contains our field names in the file. So we have to skip this. So basically ignore the header rows. So we will highlight that. We will leave that one in place. Here in advanced settings, we have I think a number of other transformations that you can specify for your file. And here I'm going to leave this one the way it is. I believe here load operations, these are some other properties that you can specify. I'm going to leave this one as default and we'll click next. So here, this is where I was mentioning to you that if you wanted to load your data without having the table created, here we could choose load to a new table and create a table if it does not exist, okay? But for us, we have the table already created, so we are going to choose this option, load existing table. So this one is loading data into an existing table because we have already created. And here in cluster or workgroup, here I do have two clusters currently. So we have to choose the one we created, and that one is the second one here, demo tutorial. and our database is dev, our schema is public, and our table that we created is Boston Marathon winners. So all of that is populated here. Right? Now, this is the part that I also mentioned earlier that is important. You do need this IAM role. And this is, I removed one, so we should be able to only see one IAM role here. If we had not removed that, we will have seen two here. And, that might cause confusion, but for us, we only have one role. I removed one of them, so this is the one that we created, and this is the one role that S3 is going to use to load our data to Redshift. And Redshift is going to also look at this role and recognize that this data is coming from S3. And, this role gives the permission for these two services to communicate with each other. All right. So cool. Now, what do we do now? We just hit load data. I think we have configured everything here that we need to. There are some column mappings here, but it's going to automatically um, recognize our file and put each field into specific categories. So we don't need to do anything. So I'll click load. Right, so it is saying something here, server close the connection. I'm not sure what's happening there. But let's try that again. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. Look, this is a warning here. I'm not sure what the warning is, but our data has been loaded successfully to Redshift. You can see the number of records that were inserted, 124 records. And in our file here, we had 124 records. You see here 125, but like I mentioned, the first row is the columns. So we should be good there. All right. So we have loaded our data successfully. Very good. So then the next thing we do is go validate if that data has been loaded into our table. Okay. So let's go ahead, refresh this database, and then expand our schema and then our table, and we can select this table again and run if we should be able to have data now. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Perfecto. All right, we have here our data showing up. If you see down here, it's only limiting to 100. These are the number of records it can retrieve anytime when you run the queries here. So there are two ways we can do here. You can turn off this query. You can turn off this limit here and run this, but this is not advisable if you have like huge amount of data. But for me, it's just, I know it's 124, so I'm going to run it, and here you can see that upgraded to 124. Now, if you have like thousands of records, the best way to do is just do the count of your records. Okay, so if you do count star, it will tell you how many records you have. There we go. So we have 124. Awesome, very good. We have loaded our data to Redshift, and now we can start doing fun things. We can start looking into this data and running crazy queries. Okay, and now when it comes to SQL, I'm sure there are SQL gurus out there and data analysts who are writing millions or thousands of lines of SQL codes, or just to massage data, transform it, and bring insights out of that data. So you can do anything now with that data. So let me see if I can get my basic data analysis skills into work here. I'm not a data analyst, so but I will use the limited knowledge that I have to try to get some insights out of this data. So again, let's get a high overview again of our data. We do have our columns here. Now look at this. So I did mistype some of the column fields. This is distance in miles. This should be distance. You may have seen that before, but we have done it this way, so we'll go ahead and use that field the way it is. All right. So for me, these are Boston Marathon winners from a very long time since it started, and I know one country called Kenya are very good with these marathon races. So let's see who from Kenya has won this race. So let's go ahead and do some queries here. So let's say we want to get marathon winners, or who has won this Boston Marathon, and they are coming from a country called Kenya. All right, where country equals cool. All right, so you have the list of countries here. I almost by default knew that Kenya must exist here, but if you didn't know in front, like upfront, how many or which type of country or what countries are listed in this table, then you can go ahead and do a list of the countries and then just specify which country you want to check. So let's see. Okay, so we want to check for Kenya, who has won that Boston Marathon. So I also want to order this by year and from latest to oldest. Okay, let's get that. All right, so there we go. Now, if my boss came early in the morning and gave me this data and just wanted to know who from Kenya has won the Boston Marathon since they started participating, then I have done my work in less than what, 15 minutes? I wrote this query like almost 3 minutes ago. But yeah, this is my data and I can give it to my boss and my boss will be very happy and he will promote me. Hopefully, I guess, and add me some money. Anyway, okay, this is the list of the people who have won the Boston Marathon race and are coming from Kenya. So 2022, we had Evans Kibet, and we have the time that it took, and these are just the standard distance for marathon. So 2022, 2021, 2019. Yeah, so you can see in recent years, Kenyans have really been dominating this space. They've been winning a lot. So it goes back all the way to 1988. I'm not sure if this was the first time Kenya participated, but the first time somebody won who was coming from Kenya is 1988. Ibrahim Hussein. So maybe somebody else may have won that race or they started participating way before that. But as far as the dataset is concerned, the earliest year that somebody from Kenya won this race is from 1988. And then it comes back all the way here. So you can see from 2006 to 2010, we had Robert Kipkoech Cheruyot. And this guy won almost consecutively, like 2006, 7, 8. So I guess in 2009 someone else won, but this is awesome. So we can get this data and start running our analysis. All right. So yeah, I mean that you can start doing anything from here, like I mentioned before. So maybe we can check the list of the countries that we have in this data set, for example. So I'm going to get another query here and I'll just get unique country names from this. See which countries have won this marathon. So we have these are the list of the countries that have participated and basically have won this marathon. So this how many countries that is? 19. We have 19 countries. Well, if this is the recent data, yeah, since Boston Marathon started, we have had these people. So let's see who from, let's say South Korea. Let's say South Korea. Who has won from South Korea? So we can go back to this query here and put here South Korea. Okay. All right. Awesome. So here we go. So South Korea, these are the list of names of people who have won that race from South Korea. So the first time somebody from South Korea won was 1947. Next is 1950. And the last time was 2001. That's when somebody won this race from South Korea. Okay. How about if we check, so let's see about US, So you have United States here. So if you put here United States, let's see the people who have won this race from the US. So here we have pick a number, 43. And it goes way back now. I mean, this race has been there for a very long time, from 1800. It's unbelievable. I didn't even know that. Okay. So anyway, so here you can see that US, the first person who won this race was in 1897. Okay. I was not even alive, even thinking that I was going to be existing probably was almost non-existent. Okay. So this is long time ago. John McDermott won that race, and the last time was 2014. That is when somebody from the US won this race. So you can get all of these details from this data, and you can do almost everything. So yeah, you can see how cool it is now to use this UI to run your queries. And getting your data to Redshift is almost now very easy. You can get your data once it's in S3, you can bring it, get it here, and start using that data. Okay, guys, so that is just what I wanted to show you today. So you can see that process is not very hard. And again, like I mentioned before, this is now very efficient. I mean, it's not like Redshift is going to charge me for running these queries and basically like storing this data in Redshift. But other than that, I don't have to worry about the cluster running forever. So it's really cool. If you have not tried it, please go ahead and give it a try and let me know in the comments. So yeah, guys, so that is what I just wanted to show you today, loading data from S3 to Redshift, and we have done it, and you can see we are running our query. So go ahead and give it a try. Okay, guys, so that is it. And again, please do give this video a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe, because in future I'm going to show you now a way of also connecting your Redshift serverless to a SQL client. You may not necessarily need it, but in some instances, this browser may not be so friendly to you. So you may want to switch and use a SQL client to run these queries. So how do you do that? So I'm going to make a video like that in the next video that's coming up. So keep a watch. I mean, stay tuned for that video. And one way of doing that is subscribing. So if you click subscribe, I make that video next time, you will get a notification and you can go ahead and watch that video. All right, guys, that is it for today. Have a great time and thank you for watching. Okay, thank you.